Welcome to Post-Burnout.com interviews. My name is Aaron Kavanagh and I'm the website's founder and editor-in-chief. Post-Burnout.com is a culture website dedicated to venerating burnt-out artists the world over. Our interviews are mainly recorded to be transcribed, but every now and again we release the audio in a series we call Post-Burnout.com interviews. If you enjoy what we do, be sure to subscribe. In this edition of Post-Burnout.com interviews, we speak with Pip Blom, the eponymous lead singer of the Dutch indie band of the same name. We talk about the band's upcoming album, Bobbie, the different musical trajectory the band are going on in this album, the departure of their longtime drummer Gini Cameron, working with Franz Ferdinand singer Alex Kapranos, touring the UK post-Brexit, writing in English compared to Dutch, the Dutch music scene, and more. One thing I want to note about this interview is that it was recorded back in June, and at that point it had been announced that the drummer Gini Cameron would be leaving the band. However, at this point, the band were still playing as a four-piece, but since this interview has been conducted, the band have began performing as a three-piece sans drummer. Yeah, so the first thing I wanted to ask was, Pip Blom as a band has been around for, I think, about 7 years now. I think a huge part of the appeal of your band is the kind of youthful vibrancy and the kind of energy you bring to kind of every show. I was wondering, as the band continues to grow, do you still plan on maintaining that kind of energy throughout? Because I mean, for like an hour and a half, it's like non-stop dancing and jumping around and stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, the setup has recently changed a bit because our drummer Genie is she's leaving the band as she's having a baby. So we had to like think about a new way to to kind of like play it live, and if we wanted to do it with the drummer or not. And the new tracks that we've made have quite a different sound to everything we've done previously, but whilst coming up with ideas and rehearsing, I guess the energy is still one of the main things we want to maintain, even though everything else can change. We just personally really like energetic live shows. I think that's definitely a big part of the type of band that we are, and it's also what makes it fun for us as well, I guess. It's just when you play live in front of people and they enjoy it as well, that it gives you so much energy. It's just really nice, I guess.
Yeah, and I remember the first time I saw you guys, I don't know if you remember this show even, but it was when the Breeders played in Dublin. Played
definitely remember that, yeah.
Which was a great tour, but I remember just not knowing what to expect and just being blown away by your performance, and then seeing you guys a couple of months later at Whelan's upstairs. I was wondering what about the Breeders tour. I mean, how did that come about? And because I remember actually Kelly Deal during their set was give it for Pip Blom. They were insane. I was yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always funny with these support things that you just we tell our agent that we would like to support certain bands or certain tours, and then it's always a waiting game, I guess. And there's so many things that influence the decision for a band to take another band on tour with them. It could be label stuff or same agency or whatever, but with some bands they do pick the support. I'm not sure if the Breeders did that though. So one day we just received the request if we wanted to support them, which we definitely wanted, of course. So then we were just so thrilled, and it was so much fun because I think it was our biggest support tour we've ever done around that time as well, and it's one of my favorite bands ever. So it was just so cool, and I think we learned a lot from playing with them and seeing maybe that was even the highlight, just seeing your favorite band on stage every night, which is just so cool. So that was really nice.
If I'm correct, I believe that was actually before the release of your first album. I was wondering how do you kind of translate, I guess, that we're talking about the live energy and that kind of vibrancy, how do you kind of feel you guys translate that into a record then when it comes to time to record it in the studio?
Yeah, well, that's a good question, because I think with both, especially, it's less like we got the people said it quite often to us that they felt we were way heavier and like louder and like more energetic live than when they listened to both. So with the second album, that was something we wanted to do different, of course. Like we wanted to try and see if we could capture that live energy a bit more. But then again, I do also like that things are different on a record than they are live, because it's fun to experiment in different ways on a record. Like you can do stuff that you just can't do live, or you can try to do it live, but that is going to become really difficult because you have to bring lots of different instruments or like buy really expensive gear. So I like part of me wants to capture that live energy on the record, but then also do something else. So it's a bit of both, I guess. And like especially with this new album, it's a lot less about live stuff. It's more computer produced stuff as well. But then I still think there is like the dynamics are really important, and that helps to give you that energetic or like that mostly energetic feel, I guess. But it's always like quite a learning curve, because every time you go to the studio, you're so overwhelmed with everything you can do. So yeah, with each album, I've got the feeling that we know more how to realize what we've got in mind, instead of being completely overwhelmed and ending up with a sound that maybe wasn't the intention, which is still fun, of course. Yeah.
One thing I also wanted to ask was your second album, Welcome Break, was actually released during COVID. I was wondering, what were the lockdowns in the Netherlands like at that time? Were you guys able to play at all, or was it just kind of like during that time everything was just shut down?
Around the time of the release, everything was shut down, but it went in waves. So there were bits where we could do seated gigs. So that meant like 40 or 30 people in a room, depending on the size. So we've done a couple of those. We've done a couple of those live stream stuff. And that was one of the live streams wasn't for us, because it's just really different if you focus on energy and everyone can watch it on their laptop. It usually doesn't sound as good, because you are moving a lot and it's difficult to sing as good. And then like if you're in a room together with the band, then it's fine because it works that way. But if it's just you watching through a screen, it just sounds horrible. So we didn't do lots of those. And then at one point there was like, it just switched a lot. Like I think every month there were different rules, which made it quite difficult as well, because when we finally were able to do our club tour, we knew that a day in advance that it could go ahead, which is quite difficult to work around, work with, I mean. But yeah, we made it happen, and I guess it was an interesting time. Yeah.
When it kind of comes to how kind of popular your band has been, like throughout mainland Europe as well as UK, Ireland, the United States, I'm sure many other places too. I mean, you guys have been able to tour as a headlining band for years now. I mean, do you find that kind of flattering though, that like, because I know, for example, your band was very influenced initially by Britpop, and I know you guys have been a roaring success in the UK in particular. I was wondering, do you find that kind of flattering, I guess?
Yeah, definitely. And it also sometimes it gives me like kind of imposter syndrome, because it feels like how you start thinking like, how did this happen? Like, because we were just like a Dutch band making music. I don't know, like, why do people like it? How, do they see something that I don't see? But then you should not focus on that stuff, I guess. No, it's definitely really flattering. And I think what I find really fun is that I've got the feeling, without wanting to sound like I feel like we are really important, but for the Dutch indie scene, I think it has helped quite a lot that we and like 2 or 3 other bands around the same time started to focus a lot more on other countries than just the Netherlands. And that has been like, I think, a bit of a stepping stone for other Dutch bands to go abroad and tour more outside of the Netherlands, and just to like have more of an opportunity to become a band that can live from playing, because the Netherlands is so small. You can't really, you have to be really big in order to just play the Netherlands and live from that money. So I think that's one of the things that I've found really fun to see, that it has helped out like more bands there's like more of a network now. Like if you're a Dutch band, it's not like, oh, I don't know any Dutch band. People usually know like a couple of Dutch bands, which is good, I think. Yeah.
Was that part of the reason why you guys write your music in English then, to try and expand internationally?
Yeah, and I really dislike the sound of Dutch as well. It's quite a harsh language to listen to. And I find it easier, I think. So that's a funny thing because I'm not sure if you speak any other languages, but
What you
the
know?
so it's to me it's really nice that if I listen to English music, there is a bit of a barrier. So if I listen to Dutch music, the thing that like comes to mind straight away is the lyrics, and I find them really bad. And then it's easier to me if I listen to English music because it's not the first thing that is like, oh, what is he saying, or he's making a mistake or anything like that. And then on top of that, it's nice because you've got more opportunity to play outside of the Netherlands. And yeah, so it's like a combination of everything, I guess. And mostly, I guess, the bands that I love usually always sing in English. So that's, yeah, but it makes sense to do what they are doing then as well.
And in terms of the Dutch music scene, then would Pip Blom kind of be, I don't know, part of a bigger scene, or are you guys kind of unique in terms of what you do?
I think we're part of a bigger scene. So there's a band I really like. They're called Personal Trainer. They've been playing quite a lot right now in the UK, and they're coming to Ireland as well. You've got like Altingun. They make really different type of music. Not really different, but I mean it's Turkish, so it is quite different. And they've been doing a lot. I guess there's quite a lot. Reds on Rafts. I think they're touring England right now. There's quite a lot of bands. Like it's not that big. It's still difficult to be like become a really big band, I guess. But it's good, and I think the more bands come to the UK, the easier it will get. And I guess it's always difficult to become a really big band, even for UK based bands. Yeah.
Do you find considering that like your operation is very contingent upon your popularity in the UK, do you find since Brexit there's been any difficulty there in touring, or has everything kind of been okay on your end?
I mean, it costs more money, so that's not nice. That's always difficult. And then it was really difficult in the beginning because the rules were very unclear, and the rules still are a bit weird because it's mainly focused on like freight. And we bring like I don't know, like stuff with merch. That's difficult because you bring stuff to a country and you leave it there, like food or something, but with merch you bring it and then you bring part of it back, or maybe, and all that, those rules are quite difficult. So it's mostly taken a lot of time to like figure out what we need to do in order to follow the rules.
Sure.
But it's nice that like you can, like now after I don't know, is it 2 years or 1 year, like it's been done a lot more, so you can talk about it with other people as well, and it feels a bit more like we know what we're doing. It just takes more time and it costs more money, so I think it's definitely not a good thing because it's another like hurdle you need to like if you want to go to the UK especially, or if you're a small band and you don't have a lot of money, then you probably won't do it.
Yeah, and I actually, just being in Ireland, even though we're still in the EU, we see the knock on from that.
Yeah,
it's like a lot of so but in a way, I mean, I think that's something that like as Europeans we kind of like maybe take for granted a little bit, just how kind of easy it is, especially like being on the mainland. It's like, you guys can tour around like, pretty much the entire continent in like close proximity without any like visa requirements. It's kind of it's kind of a lucky thing we have. I mean, even in Ireland, we can just get like a ferry to France or the UK. It's like really simple. It's like,
so
it's
you
just
have to show your passport, right? You can't just
nice. Well, I think we might have to. Yeah, I don't know.
Do you? Oh, yeah. You're trapped in between the two bits. Like, yeah.
I know. The best of both worlds. So let's talk about your new album then. It's called Bobbie, if I'm correct. Yeah, and the two singles so far released have been "Is This Love" featuring Alex from Franz Ferdinand, and the other is Tiger. I just wanted to actually talk about the collaboration with Alex. How did you set that up?
So we supported Franz Ferdinand a couple of times over the years. And we did 4 shows with them last year. They were really fun and really nice people. And like, it's funny because we've done a lot of supports tours with different bands. And yeah, with them, it was just really nice. They were really nice. The crew was really nice. So it felt really good from the start. And then yeah, we talked a bit with Alex like a couple of times, and I was in the studio with the producer of the album, Dave McCracken, and at one point he said like, "What do you think about a collaboration?" And I'd never written a song with anyone before, so I was very nervous about that because I just wasn't really sure if I could do it. I was just a bit afraid that I would get so nervous that I wasn't able to write anything or come up with anything. So I thought I need to ask someone that I think is really nice and is
Yeah.
really cool at the same time, which is quite a difficult combination because, yeah, I don't know, cool people are not always really nice. And then Dave was like, you should ask Alex. And I was like, that would be the perfect person because I think his voice is amazing. I think he's got a really nice songwriter. He's a really good songwriter and he's really nice. So yeah, that's when I asked him, and it was all quite like we didn't have that much time. So I think he came back from a Japan tour. Dave and I visited him the same night. Then he left for another tour the next day, and then 2 weeks later we had one day in the studio. We had like this demo that we needed some parts for, and we sent it to Alex, and Alex said something along the lines of that he liked the chorus, but he thought it could have an even better chorus. And then that's what we started working on together in the studio. And it was really fun. And I think we're all really happy with the song because it's a bit different to what we usually do. It's a bit more funky.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's nice. I think it's really fun, especially being in a band for quite a while now to try different stuff as well and not always do exactly the same. So yeah, I think it's been really successful and really, really fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great. And yeah, and that and Tiger, I mean, I think it really showed the kind of the new, I guess, kind of dance punk kind of nature that the new album is kind of going in. And I think it's like not only is it kind of you guys kind of stretching your wings and kind of trying new things as musicians, but I think you're also seeing like a lot of new influence. I mean, was it perhaps influenced by touring with Franz Ferdinand, or what exactly where does the sound, I guess, from this record come from?
So I think like from the beginning, I've always wanted to combine more electronic stuff with the band stuff, but I found it really difficult because I always thought like, oh, I can do that in the studio, and then it turned out there was never any time to do that. So I was always a bit like, but I like what we done, but this isn't what I had in mind.
Yeah.
And with this record, I thought like, okay, it's going to be the third record. Yeah, and there was one thing as well. What happened last time with Welcome Break, we got, even though I thought it was really different compared to Boat, we got quite a lot of reviews of people that were saying like it's the brother or the sister of Boat, which made me feel like, okay, I think I'm doing something different, but people feel like it's still the same-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like I need to do something else this time around because it's time for that as well. So then I decided to go and work with Dave because we worked with him on Paycheck and on Boat, but mainly on Paycheck. He influenced the sound a lot, and it sounded just more like produced or like, yeah, just different. So I thought like I'm gonna ask him to do that. And bands that I really like, Mikachu and the Shapes is my favorite band, and Sorry, and they both, like, Mikachu and the Shapes got more of a combination between acoustic sounding instruments, but also, yeah, just like, I would call it weird, but in a good way. And then Sorry is really produced. They've got like, they turn things on and off and all that kind of stuff. So that was a big influence for me. And then I went to Dave, and he's got lots of experience working in hip hop. So he's worked on like everyone basically, like a couple of years back. And then we combined those two things, and that's when the new sound started like developing. And that just, we needed one song to do that, and then I got inspired to write all the other stuff as well. So it kind of was like a process, because I've been writing and then going to Dave, so it was like a bit of it wasn't one stretch of doing it. It was just like doing it all like rotating it a bit, I guess. That's and then
doing it in pieces, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was really fun. And then we ended up getting the band on the record as well at the end, to add like a bit more of a live feel, and their expertises and like cool new ideas. So yeah, it was just a really different process compared to the other records, because then we just rehearsed the tracks, went to the studio and got it mixed. And this was building at home, building with Dave, and then doing it with the band, and then getting it mixed. So yeah, I think that all influenced it.
Are you looking forward to doing the songs live? Because I know you mentioned at the beginning that Gini Cameron is leaving the band. I think she was a great like centerpiece for the band, like just like just giving it all, like just again. It's just like I think it was it was very captivating, because I think you guys on guitar and bass, like jumping around and stuff, was always like was always like very, I don't know, it added a danceability to it. But I think Ginny just kind of added a core to it that was like very consistent throughout. Absolutely. And I mean, I think she will be missed. But but I was wondering, do you think like not only now with this new album will you be touring kind of a new sound and be doing new things live, but also someone who's been such a core to the band for so long won't be there? I'm wondering, is there anxiety, or are you just excited to do it?
It's always a bit of both. I think it's like, to me, when we heard the news, we started thinking about what we could do, because it was going to be so difficult to replace Genie. And we thought about lots of other drummers, but it's just really difficult. And then we had one drummer in mind, and then at the end that didn't work out. So we were just like, maybe this is a good time to do everything like different. And with new tracks, it is doable as well. So that's when we decided to do it without a drummer. So the whole setup is going to be different, which is frightening, because you just don't know how the live show is gonna look, but we're working on that, and how people are going to react to that. But then at the same time, when we were writing the tracks, like especially Tiger and Is This Love, I thought that it might be too much pop for people, that they would miss like the band sound. And in general, we've just had like really good response. So hopefully we will have the same with this, like that people will still miss Genie, but because it's something different, it's easier to focus on that, instead of being like, oh, but this drummer isn't as good or as cool or as quirky as Genie. So I think that's kind of the way we thought about it. And I think it's really exciting to do something different, as I said earlier as well. As you've like, because we've been doing this for quite a while, it's fun to have a new way of doing stuff and figuring out everything. It's definitely a bit of both. But we'll get there.
Well, this will also this upcoming tour will also mark the first time back in Ireland, I think, since 2018. You guys will be playing the Grand Social Dublin, the Casbah in Limerick, and the Ulster Sports Club Belfast. That's in February. I was wondering, excited to come back, and what can kind of people expect if they come along?
Well, really excited to come back. I think we were supposed to come back to Ireland somewhere last year, and then we had to cancel it because it was still difficult and stuff. But we've been twice, and we had a lot of fun, good memories. And I guess it's going to be nice to do more than just one show now as well, because yeah, it's quite a big country as well, so it just feels a bit silly to always come for one show. So and that means we're going to be able to see more of Ireland, which is nice. And in terms of show, yeah, we're gonna do the club tour. We've got like at the minute we're working on a light show as well, and yeah, it's going to be the three of us. Hopefully it's going to be, yeah, I think it's going to be lots of new songs of the record, but that will be out by then, so hopefully people will know that then.
Yeah.
A couple of old songs as well, like some fan favorites. Yeah, I think it's going to be different, but it will still be really fun, and hopefully it will be, yeah, just like a good night out where you can dance and, yeah, enjoy yourself. I think that's what we're going for. Yeah, we love dancing, so hopefully that will be possible. Yeah,
That's perfect. I've asked everything I have to ask. Is there anything you'd like to add before we wrap up, or?
well, maybe, but that's just like, that's always what comes to mind when I think about Ireland. Is that I find it really funny that you guys have a really distinct sound for your traffic lights, the walking traffic lights. So I'm looking forward to hearing them again.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. And yeah, we'll definitely see you then in February.
Absolutely. I'll be there.
Nice. Amazing. Yeah, because you were at the Whelan show, right? Because
Yeah, it was, yeah.
was almost no one there, for like 30 people.
Yeah, actually, I got a picture with you at that, and Ginny.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
nice. Well, then maybe I'll bring a cutout Genie this time, and then we can do
to recreation.
Yeah.
Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks, and have a nice day.
You too. I really
Thank you
appreciate it.
very much. Bye.
Thank you for listening to that episode of Post-Burnout.com interviews. We hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more.